Kevin Durant yesterday or maybe 2 days ago, he said he was getting interviewed and they asked him about why he's not in the GOAT conversation and all that stuff, and he said, well, I mean, that's a question you should ask. Why am I not? What have I not done? Here's how that went.
So recently, Kevin Durant, he was asked about his place in the whole GOAT conversation. And he told the Arizona Republic, quote, "Because I went to the Warriors, why shouldn't I be in that? That's the question you should ask. Why not? What haven't I done?" Now, former teammate Draymond Green, he also weighed in on all of this on his podcast.
As far as my GOAT conversation, though, I think KD is one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen. But people always say KD's the greatest scorer of all time. Like, you can make that argument. Like, the way KD scored the ball is so effortless. That's what KD do. He's never seen a bad shot. Like, obviously, I'm not one that's going to be like, KD's championships aren't real. Like, stop it. Like, there's no championship that's not real.
Okay, so to Draymond's point, Kevin Durant is fourth all-time in points per game, and yet, when it comes to the GOAT conversation, he's generally not talked about, certainly not like LeBron, certainly not like Michael, but not even like Steph Curry. Where do you fall? Should he be included?
You can include him in the conversation. I'm not going to put him at the top of it. Perk and I talk about something every week that Perk didn't have to convince me much of, and Draymond addressed it. I think Kevin Durant, if you're looking at just scoring, is the second greatest scorer. Second, behind Michael. There's nothing I'm going to say Kevin Durant does better with a basketball to score it than Michael Jordan. So, but second of all time is pretty good praise, right? But people got to remember, people can't just forget about Kareem and about Bill Russell and about Magic, who is way high. Magic's in my top five. About Kobe Bryant, right? All right, so does KD go above that? He went and joined, and this is the criticism he spoke of. He joined the best regular season team ever and continued, made it better. Yes, those championships belong to him as well. Is that the same thing as riding that thing out in Chicago? People say, oh, well, Pippen was great. Pippen wasn't great when Jordan got there. He was a kid. He was drafted to join Michael. He and Horace Grant. So no. That argument ain't flying. Greatest scorer of all time, like Draymond mentioned. I got him second. So, Perk, see, I'm listening to you, Perk. I'm listening to you, bro. That's a smart, persuasive discussion. And Kevin Durant is an all-timer. The all-timer? No.
Go ahead, Perk.
And my answer to the question, should he be in the GOAT debate, is hell no, right? Now, is Kevin Durant, in my eyes, the best scorer to ever touch the damn basketball? Yes. And I think, me and Wilboy talk about this all the time. It's between him and Mike, because not only putting up 30 a night matters but efficiency matters as well. But when it comes down to the GOAT debate, like, we got to set the bar somewhere.
Yes.
Right? Yes, championship matters, but those accolades matter. And the one major accolade is the MVP.
Correct.
And you have to have multiple regular season MVPs, at least 3, in my opinion, to even be mentioned in the GOAT conversation. Right now, I don't even have Kevin Durant higher than Steph Curry on my all-time list. But when it comes down to GOAT conversations, one could argue Jordan, one could argue LeBron, one could argue Kareem, one could even argue Magic.
Yep.
Like, you got to have those MVPs, regular season MVP awards, right under your resume be in that GOAT
I'm right there with you, Perk. You stole my answer, and I was like, you said, no. Just Wilbon. Perk said, hell no. And I'm like, politely, KD, no, like, I'm sorry. Just because you have to wonder what, like, this threshold, this floor is. And it's absolutely one thing: championships, titles, and MVPs. And I feel like for those that we always say their names, the ones that Perk mentioned, those at least have 4 titles and at least 3 MVPs. We're talking about 1 MVP versus 2 titles.
Right.
And I don't want to say circumstantial
type
of situation.
But it's not reducing. Here's what we've gotten into. The problem is, as we find these tiebreakers, these are all tiebreakers, right? We're splitting hairs, and it's a fun conversation. But it feels like you have to say something negative about a great player to justify the position, and I don't want to do that. Kevin Durant is an all-time great player, right? You may even put him now in your top 10 or 12 players. You can do that. But I think
Absolutely.
Kobe Bryant, by the way, I think only won one regular season MVP.
Yeah, that's
we got to
By the
careful
move
there.
the goalpost.
Exceptions to everything. But GOAT, I mean, to me, that's a real small group.
Right.
And maybe Kevin Durant still gets there.
Well,
he ain't retired. He got a chance this year.
You weigh Kobe's MVPs and then you look at his titles.
Titles.
There's something
Yes,
that
there is.
balances everything
Exactly.
out.
Goalpost
when you're
move.
talking about Bill Russell's title,
Goalpost
that
move.
is the everything. There's ingredients. This is chemistry.
You see how they move the goalpost for who they want?
And it yields a different result. It's why, but you need to have. Something has to be sacred. It's why, as we continue to dole out the title of superstar, if everybody's a superstar, then we need another level to describe the players like LeBron James.
Mega superstar.
Exactly. And that's
Megastar.
Very good.
Megastar.
That's where a
And
megastar.
First of all, Malika Andrews, I need to see you shoot one free throw. Before it's cool for you to be on ESPN and be a moderator and help move the conversation along, but you be putting in input like you one of the players. Like I get Agumake is up there, I get Perkins is up there. Will Barnes been covering the sport for I don't know over 40 years. I don't know if he can hoop, but he still got a respected opinion because he's been around the sport for so long. But even Will Barnes and people like Stephen A. Smith, at some point, I really don't want to hear your journalistic opinion because they think about things a certain way, and as soon as you hear GOAT, it's two sides of the brains that start firing, right? And for people that's like journalists and for people who like having the debate for fun, I guess, or for TV. You see how they automatically start thinking about everything that's on paper, right? Nobody said anything about how good Kevin Durant is, and is he as good as the people that's in the current GOAT conversation, right? Which I think is really no debate, really. Like it could be a conversation, but it's not a debate. Like it's really hands down, really one guy, and that's Mike. For people that come before Mike, they might say Kareem, and then some people might say Bill Russell. But other than that, it's really no debate, right? These new guys that's coming along, like I said, the game has deteriorated so much. I don't think it's even possible for anybody to get as good as Michael Jordan was, because there's no opposition to make them develop enough of their game or to step their game up, right? They're playing against really no defense, so you can't really go to the numbers and try to start judging that, because the numbers are easy to get now these days. They purposely created this era to get points and get numbers and get stats. So stats is one of the foolish ways to go about this conversation. Is probably one of the most deceiving things when judging NBA players on who's the best. So I say all that to say this. My point about Kevin Durant mentioning this, do I think that he's in the GOAT debate? No, I don't. But not because I don't think he's good enough. I think anybody who's ever been compared to Michael Jordan, whether it's Kobe, LeBron, or Dr. J, or I know Dr. J came before Mike, but anybody who had a swag about them, they can score, they can slash, there was a wing player, all that stuff, all those players. And is Kevin Durant as good as those players? Yes. Kevin Durant, as if you want to just stay in his position with small forwards, it's going to be Bird, it's going to be LeBron, it's going to be KD. Those are the top three at this position, right? For shooting guards, it's going to be Michael, it's going to be Kobe, and maybe Jerry West, maybe Wade, maybe Iverson, right? So he's in the discussion. For power forward, it's going to be Tim Duncan, it's going to be Malone, it's going to be Garnett, it's going to be Dirk, right? Maybe even Barkley, right? And for centers, it's going to be Wilt, it's going to be Russell, it's going to be Kareem, it's going to be Hakeem, it's going to be Shaq, right? Point guards, it's going to be Magic, it's going to be Isaiah, it's going to be Steph, it's going to be Oscar, maybe J Kidd, maybe John Stockton, right? So does Kevin Durant get in that conversation? Is he one of the top 15 players of all time? Yes. right? Does his game actually stack up against the people that's close to the top 5? Yes, he has a top 5 game. What he don't have is a top 5 resume, and that counts when you're talking about the greatest of all time. If we're talking about the best player of all time, then he's in the debate, and I think that's what Kevin Durant is talking about. I know what I've worked on and got my game to a certain point, and I know I'm better than almost everybody except Mike and Kobe. Right? I'm better than those guys. I'm better than LeBron, and I'm better than Steph. Right? Does the media love me as much as they love LeBron and Steph? No. So are they going to talk about me, and is the narrative going to be created around me the way it's created around Steph and LeBron? No. Does my resume stack up with them? Probably not, because Steph got 2 MVPs, one of them unanimous. LeBron got 4 MVPs, 5 MVPs, whatever, how many MVPs he got, right? And they both got a whole army behind them as far as media and as far as their fan base. They got a whole army, right? So it's gonna be very hard for Kevin Durant to convince people that his resume belong. They're gonna always say that his move to Golden State, they always go discredit that. They're always gonna say Steph is above him because he the one who joined Steph's team. Like all this baby fantasy stuff. It's not even real life. It's just fantasy, right? The stuff that they're talking about is just fantasy land. Who care? I hate when you were talking with grown people and adults, and you can ask them who's better, Steph or KD, and they know the answer is Kevin Durant, but then they go turn around in the same sentence and say, but I put Steph Curry above him because Kevin Durant made a weak move and went and joined that team. That what does that got to do with anything? Who's the better player? Like, seriously, who's the better player? And let's keep it there. Let's be grown-ups about it. Let's not be kids and talk about these players like they Pokemon trading cards. That's not how that works. Oh man, but he got this MVP. But why do people get MVPs? Right? Like it's a reason why some people don't have MVPs. We know Shaq and Kobe both only have one. Why they only got one? Because they played together. And the media would always say, as long as they're together, when you got 2 players that good together, they're going to cancel each other out for MVP. Because somewhere there's a player that don't have a superstar beside him that had an amazing year that they're going to give it to. So when you get back-to-back MVPs to Steve Nash and he's not even half the player Shaq and Kobe is, you got to ask yourself, man, what does that MVP really mean? Right? So if you can cancel a player out for playing with Shaq, so you mean to tell me I got to have a team that you think is not that good, and then I got to perform very well individually and with team success in order for you to consider me for MVP. So you canceled Shaq and Kobe out, but you gave 3 straight, Dirk, Nash, and Nash, 3 straight. All because you said Nash didn't have a good team, and we just pretend like Amara Stoudemire wasn't a great player who also got MVP votes that year. We're going to pretend like Sean Marion wasn't great. We're going to pretend like Joe Johnson wasn't great. We're going to pretend like Leandro Barbosa wasn't great. Like, he had a stacked squad, and they just said that, oh man, Shaq and Kobe could never get an MVP because they play together. And the same thing they did when Steph and Kevin Durant was playing together. No matter how good the record was for the Golden State Warriors, and no matter how good Kevin Durant was doing, he couldn't get MVP. But guess what? That same thing didn't work for LeBron, because when LeBron was on the super team with Miami, I think he got 2 MVPs. If I'm not mistaken, I think LeBron got 2 MVPs with Miami and felt like he was cheated when Derrick Rose got one. He felt like he should have got that one. So the same argument that you counsel out Shaq and Kobe for, and they go their whole career with only 1 MVP, you don't make that argument for LeBron when he plays on the super team with Wade and Bosh. 2 superstars. Shaq played with 1 superstar and Kobe. Kobe played with 1 superstar and Shaq. LeBron played with 2 superstars in Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, and he still got MVPs. So the media didn't use the same criteria to counsel him out like he did Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Shaq and Kobe. So when we get to the point where we having this conversation, we start saying, well, this guy only got this many MVPs and this guy got this many MVPs. That's a fairy tale land, because they're not talking about it in real life, in real time. Like, we know why this person didn't get an MVP. It was MVP indicates that this player performed phenomenally and he performed above and beyond his peers, so much so that the media voted him for most valuable player that season. That's what that represents. So if you see somebody done that 4 or 5 times, you be like, okay, this dude was consistently outperforming everybody, and the MVP is a indication of that, right? But is that the only way we can indicate that? No, we know Kevin Durant was outperforming people, and we know the reason why he didn't get more MVPs is because he played with Golden State. We should be able to use common sense with that. So I wouldn't make a criteria and say you can't be in the discussion because you don't have these awards. Now, I get the rings because that's what you're playing for. You're playing for rings. So if you say, look, we had a conversation. He can be in the conversation, but it's not going to be a long conversation because the other guys is in the conversation won 5 or 6 times. He only won twice. I would respect that. I would respect it if you say, yeah, everyone that's in the top 10 is in the conversation. We'll sit down and we'll talk about it and we'll look over your resume. But if we was doing this debate at like a debate house, right, and only the top 10 players was invited, or the top 15 players of all time, invite all of them. Bring your resume with you, but we're not going to look at your resume until you get to the house. You get invited to the house because what we see on the court and how good we know you are. So we'll invite LeBron, we'll invite Kevin Durant, we'll invite Steph, Magic, of course the GOAT, Michael Jordan, Bird. We'll invite everybody to the house, right? Now, to get in the house, you have to be a great player and you have to be one of the greatest, top 10, top 15 maybe. And yeah, come to the house. And then we'll open your resume up and we'll start dismissing people, based on how strong their resume is. We go knock it down from 15 to 5, right? If you say stuff like that, I'm cool with that. I'm cool. Yeah, he's a top 15 player, so that automatically puts him in the conversation because he's a great player. Let's look at the resume. All right, the best resume is Michael. Well, can we say Michael Jordan got the best resume? Let's say Kareem, Mike. Let's say Russell. That's the top 3 resumes. Is LeBron? Does LeBron have a top 4 resume? I mean, I guess. I mean, if you're looking at stats, but if you're looking at wins and rings, probably not. I'm looking at rings. Bill with 11, Kareem and Mike with 6. Those are top 3 resumes to me for the top 10 players, right? So, I mean, that's probably how I would fall. That's probably how I would do it. Yeah, everyone's invited that's in the top 10 or 15. I know who my top 3 resumes is, and if your resume can't beat those, because everybody got the game. Everyone has GOAT game that's in the top 10. Everyone got GOAT game. But we can separate you by your resume and we can weed everybody out. We got the top 3 resumes. If your resume don't beat this one, then you're not in. And then some players might even get canceled out because their game don't stack up to the top games. And the top games in the NBA ever is Mike and Kobe. I would use them as standards for wing players. For centers, I would use Kareem and Hakeem. So for post players, Kareem, Duncan, Wilt, Shaq. Okay, those 5 guys. Yeah, because there's a lot of great post players. So yeah, Kareem, Wilt, Russell. No, not Russell. Kareem, Duncan, Wilt, Hakeem, and Shaq. That's 5 guys. Those 5 guys have the best post player games I've ever seen for different reasons, right? If I'm comparing any post players to their game, that's the 5 highest in my opinion. And if you're not better than those 5, then no, you don't stack up, right? Your resume can get you in the conversation, but if you ain't one of those 5s, then you don't have the game. That's the standard, right? So for big men, you got to have a game and a resume. Same thing for the wing guys. You got to have a game and a resume. Kobe and Mike, that's the top 2 games. And then Mike has, a top 2 resume as well. So that's how I'm measuring everybody. If you don't stack up, then you gotta go. And unfortunately for Kevin Durant, he has a game that gets close to Kobe and Mike's. So he has the best game out of all these guys in the conversation, even better than LeBron's in my opinion. But his resume just ain't there. So and that's why I leave it at, man. Let me see what y'all talking about in here. I'm gonna put the number back up there, cause I know y'all probably want to talk about this, man. Y'all probably gonna say something crazy about Kevin Durant. Let's see. Durant highest scoring game is only 55 points. Michael Jordan is 69. Kobe is 81. Wilt 100. Durant has 4 scoring titles. AI has 4 scoring titles. Wilt has 7 scoring titles. MJ has 10 scoring titles. Yeah, that's a good point. 55 ain't nothing to laugh at, man. I'm pretty sure he can go for more than that if he wanted to. It's just Kevin Durant. Sometimes he could be a volume shooter, but he's just not like that. Like, as good as he is as a 3-point shooter, man, he probably shoot less 3-pointers than anybody that's that good as a 3-point shooter. He don't come out and shoot 10 a game. Like, Luka shoot more threes than him. He don't come out and shoot 10 a game. He should, but he shoot around 5, 6 a game. Being the GOAT is more than scoring stats and records. The GOAT is being the total overall star player, getting the job done. Malik Andrews is better fit for CNN than the ESPN. KD and all these players today are paper GOATs. That's a good way to put it. Paper GOAT. I ain't heard that term in a long time. Paper GOATs. You're right. GOATs on paper. GOAT status is given to a player by the fans, not yourself. I agree. Both Kevin Durant and Chris Broussard say that Michael Jordan is the greatest and best mid-range jump shooter in NBA history. That's true. Hey, you know what's funny though? As good as Michael Jordan was as a mid-range shooter, the person that I seen that was on automatic for 4 straight years is Sean Livingston. Lord have mercy, that dude didn't miss mid-range, man. He retired too soon. He had probably like two more years in him, man. KD's resume too light. Yeah, I agree. His resume too light. But I don't like when they say stuff like, man, you're not even past Curry. Curry resume ain't even dope like that. Like so with superstars, like, winning 1 ring was, all right, that's one thing. But when you win 2, and especially if it's back to back, now we talking. If you win 3 in a row, you 3-peat, now you really talking. If you 3-peat twice, you really talking, right? So I say all that to say this: Hakeem got back to back. He got 2. That was good. Players like Dirk, they got 1. Who else got 1? Right now, Giannis 1. Jokic 1. Giannis wasn't able to repeat. He got this ring, and now he can't get back there. Jokic, we'll see, right? So it's a lot of people that come in and get 1. All the boys in Detroit, Chauncey Billups now, they got 1. Right? So getting 1 is one thing. Repeating is one thing. Isaiah, he repeated, but that was it. So if your team come together at the right time and y'all gelling and y'all got a hot streak, and it takes a while for people to figure y'all out, you can get your 1 ring. You might even get 2, right? But then there's different guys like Shaq and Kobe, Jordan and Pippen, who was like, hey, look, man, we about to run it as long as we can. And we talking about a three-peat for the Bulls and Michael Jordan, and we talking about a three-peat for Shaq and Kobe, and they went to 4 straight finals. They went to 4 straight. They could have won 4 straight. That would have been the first time that ever happened since Boston did it. 4 straight. They went to 4 straight. They lost that last one though. So and then after that happened, Kobe went to 3 straight more. You get what I'm saying? So that's when you know you're dominating. What Steph Curry and the Warriors did was not that, right? Because Steph Curry was supposed to be in that one-off. I got my one, and I'm not gonna get another one, right? That's what happened. That was supposed to happen to the Warriors, but what ended up happening is Kevin Durant came and saved them. They got their one. They beat Cleveland and LeBron, but LeBron was playing without Love and without Kyrie in the first championship. They both got back to the finals the year after that. Kevin Love was healthy, Kyrie was healthy, and the Warriors lost. What was supposed to happen is now this is what Kevin Durant was supposed to take over with either OKC or he should have went to another team. Like, I think he should have went to the Rockets with James Harden. He could have went there. Rockets with James Harden. Kevin Durant probably still would have got rings with the Rockets, or he could have forced OKC to trade Westbrook and get him someone that he really wanted to play with. That's why he left OKC. He didn't like playing in the style that OKC had started running, where they was kind of Westbrook centric, and Westbrook was taking shots that he shouldn't have been taking at times. He shouldn't have been taking them, and it was frustrating for Kevin Durant. Instead of him saying, hey, look, this is my team, and putting his foot down and saying, man, we're gonna play through me, and we're gonna play through me all the time. He took the high road and was like, man, hey man, you can have it. I just leave. I find a team that play the way I like playing. And that's what he did. He went to Golden State. He should have never done that. I think if he would have known that he was going to go over there and nobody was going to give him credit for what he did, and that was going to say, oh man, Steph, he got you your first 2 rings and blah. They was going to say all that. I think he probably would have decided to go somewhere else. But what he did was breathe life into that Golden State Warriors situation and get them 2 more rings. And then even the ring they got, the 4th one, was on KD, because KD, instead of leaving Golden State and just going to Brooklyn and signing, Bob Myers talked him into doing a signing trade, and that's how they end up getting D'Lo back to Golden State for Kevin Durant. It was a signing trade. So instead of him walking and them not getting anything, they got D'Lo, which you already know they flipped and turned it into Wiggins, and Wiggins was instrumental in their 4th championship. Without Wiggins, they don't get that championship at all. So even Kevin Durant on his way out helped them get that 4th. So my whole point is they would only have 1 ring if Kevin Durant never joined them. It was over. It was about to be over. So yeah. MJ watching the media and players claiming and making narratives they GOAT is laughing while smoking a cigar. Yeah. He know what the deal is. He know what the deal is for sure. 3-peating twice. Yeah. I include everything: championships, MVPs, individual season awards, team records, statistics for resumes, because Sam Jones had 10 rings, Casey had 8, Ora had 7, so rings can be deceptive. Not really, because Sam Jones, Casey Jones, and Robert Ora won't be invited to the house. They're not a top 15 player. So why am I even counting your rings if you wasn't the catalyst for it? Why am I counting Robert Ora's rings? He's not even invited to this conversation. This conversation is only for top 10, 15 players. That's what that conversation is. So as soon as someone show up to a conversation and say, well, Robert Ora got 7 rings, I'm going to ask them, what do you have Robert Ora ranked at all time? If it's not top 15, then he doesn't belong in the conversation. So I'm not counting. I'm not. You don't have when you do a ring count. You're not counting rings from the bottom up. You're not saying. You're not making a list by saying who has the most rings, and then you make a list that way. You're saying who's the best players, and you make a list 1 through 15 of the best players, and then you go into the resume and start saying, well, with your skill set and how good you are, how dominant you are, what was the results from that? How often did you win? That's how you do that. You don't do it upside down. KD always played with good all-stars to aid his stats. So to every player. Like there's no player that's not playing with good players. Yeah, I don't even know what that means. Like, everybody's playing with good players. Even Jordan played with good players. Three-peating twice. Durant and Curry's resumes are about on the same level. Yeah, their resumes are. Curry got one more extra MVP, and one of them was unanimous, so that's a big flex. And then he got 2 extra rings that KD don't have. So I understand why people would rank Curry's resume over KD's, but I still would rank KD over him on the list because I think Kevin Durant is a better player than Steph Curry, right? So it kind of evens out. So, but if you got Curry over Kevin Durant, but they right neck and neck close, I respect it. But I'm not gonna respect you putting Curry top 5 and Durant number 15. Nah, I'm there. I ain't gonna respect that. Curry is not. He's not even better than Magic and Isaiah at his own position. Right, Magic and Isaiah is over Curry as point guards, and there's an argument to be had for Oscar as well. You just don't go to a team that beats you, man. Such a losing mentality, paper go all around guy. You see, but that has nothing to do with how good he is as a player, though. It just don't like. That's just emotional. That's just emotional stuff that people bring into the conversation. If you can have this conversation without emotion, then you're doing something real good. But people get their feelings hurt. Oh man, it was a weak move. They repeating what Stephen A. Smith said and getting all emotional. I'm like it's basketball. It shouldn't be no emotion involved, unless you're playing it. Like if you on the floor playing it, you can have a little emotion. It's a good. It's good for your health to be out there and playing and going through those emotions. But sitting here spectating it and judging how good players are, it shouldn't be no emotion involved, man. You don't in all caps go to a team that beats you, man. Such a losing mentality. Paper go all around. Like that's too much emotion. I'm watching just all dudes out there playing ball, and I'm not invested like that emotionally. So I'm able to really objectively look at everything and not come off like I'm what's the word I'm looking for? Like I'm laying a law down on somebody, or I'm part of his punishment for doing something that we don't respect or we don't like. Nah. That has nothing to do with where I'm ranking you at. I know how good of a player you are. You went to a team that beat you. You had your reasons going over there. I mean, but at the end of the day, this team begs you to come over there. He didn't call them and say, "Hey man, y'all need an extra one." He didn't do that. This was a team that just lost to LeBron and a healthy Cavs team and realized how they're defending Steph Curry. We're never getting another ring. Because what they just did to Steph Curry in this finals, every team's gonna do that to us in the playoffs. We're not getting another ring. This came out of Draymond Green's mouth. He said teams figured us out and they figured out how to stop Curry. And when you stop Curry, you stop the whole Warriors team. And if you remember, Iman Shumpert and Kyrie Irving was locking Steph Curry up. Steph Curry is running through screens. Every time he tried to run through the paint of the screen, he got bumped by Tristan Thompson, or bumped by Kevin Love, or bumped by J.R. Smith. That was putting the works on Steph Curry. And that's when the Warriors realized it's over. Until they begged Kevin Durant to come join them. And when they begged Kevin Durant, he was in the prime of his career. And at that time, he was the best player in the league in front of LeBron James. So they added the best player in the league to their team. The same way you look at Kevin Durant, if you look at him any different because he made that move, you have to look at Steph Curry the same exact way. Because for you to beat that team and make it to the finals and lose the LeBron James, the response, when you look at the standard, you look at Michael Jordan, the response of Michael Jordan losing the Bird and losing the Detroit and Isaiah, his response was, let me get back in the gym. Let me work on my game. Let me work on my body. Let me tell Tim Grover, my trainer, to go work with Scottie Pippen so my co-star can get better and stronger. And we're going to come back and beat these dudes. That was his response to it. Steph Curry's response was, let me go get the best player in the league to add so I can beat LeBron. Because I can't do it. I got lucky last year because his co-star and his third best player got hurt. I got lucky last year and beat him. But they healthy this year and they beat me. It's over. Unless I get the best player to join me. So the same way you look at Kevin Durant is the same way you got to look at Steph Curry. And if you don't bring your emotions into it, you'll see it that way. Isaiah. He's number 2 behind Magic Johnson as point guards. Nah. Isaiah is one of the great. Yeah. I definitely mentioned Isaiah. I've mentioned Isaiah a whole bunch of times when I talk. If I ever talk about point guards, he's gonna be the second name I mention after Magic. 100%. I gotta give it. Bill Russell has 11 rings. Bill Russell averaged 22.5 rebounds per game and won 5 MVPs. But Russell averaged 15 points per game. Does Russell deserve an invitation in the house? Yes. Russell is a top 15 player. He's probably a top 5 player, depending on who you ask. Yes, he gets in the house with his 15 points and 22 rebounds. However, if I'm telling you who the best player I ever seen play, first and foremost, I've only seen highlights of Russell, so that I can't say that I seen him play or witness him play. What I mean by witness is I seen you from draft day, and some players college, but I seen you from draft day, and I lived through your era of basketball, so I understood what your era was about. So I understood the things that you accomplished. That's different from going back looking at highlights. So it's not even a fair comparison when I'm comparing players from I guess from the 90s when I started watching full careers. So anything before the 90s, or I say 88. I say 88, because I started watching basketball with my dad when I was about 7. So I say around 88. I can say the players from 88 to now I've seen their whole career. Anything before that, it's not fair because I haven't lived through your era of basketball and lived through your career. So with Russell, I don't really know how good Russell is. All I got is his resume and highlights. And it's not fair to compare his resume and highlights to guys who I got their whole career for 2 reasons. One, if I got your whole career that I witnessed, I can see your bad. I can see all the bad stuff. Like with LeBron, I know all his. I can recite what happened when he lost to Dallas and he only averaged 17 points. I know what it was like. I know what the radio stations were saying the next morning. I know what was written in the newspaper. I know what they put in the articles online. I know how his face looked on the bench and how defeated he was. I know how that defense was smothering him. I seen all that. I've never seen the bad of Bill Russell. You get what I'm saying? I haven't seen the bad. I haven't seen the challenges he faced it, like when Michael Jordan played the Blazers and they had the newspaper article saying him and Clyde Drexler was pretty much the same player, except Clyde Drexler can shoot threes and Jordan can't. And then Jordan came out there and was like, okay, y'all think I can't shoot threes? And then he set a playoff record for threes in the first half. Right? You don't get to see that stuff and live through it. I don't have those type of stories for Russell. All I can look at is his stats: 22 rebounds, 15 points, 5 MVPs, 11 rings. And that's not fair to put up against a person that I've seen his whole career, because I've seen his good and his bad. It's not fair. So from the resume, it's the only thing I can judge Bill from is the resume and maybe highlights. So from all of that, yes, he gets an invite in the house. But when I start comparing who the best players I ever witnessed or seen, he's not gonna be one of them. It's gonna be Michael. It's gonna be Kobe. Those are the best players I ever seen play. Michael and Kobe, easy, real easy. Curry had a sprained knee in the 16 finals. Well, he shouldn't have played then. He shouldn't have played. Clyde Drexler is not on my list. No, Clyde Drexler is not on my list, man. Not at all. Not for shooting guards. Not for players. Bill Russell won all those rings when the NBA had 10 or 12 teams. Yeah, I mean that's another thing. That's a true statement. But what do you do with that true statement? What does that mean? Does that mean? I mean, because I heard Bill Russell talk about that. He said, would it being 10 or 12 teams, that mean every great player that existed was on those 10 or 12 teams, which means most teams were stacked. That was how he said it. You know, he said most teams were stacked. So if that was like right now, the NBA, what I think they got, I don't know. How many players in the NBA? 500? I don't know. Let's say it's 500. 500 players to go on 30 teams or however many teams it is, right? 500 players. You know, you're spreading them out. You know, you might have 1 to 2 superstars on each team to spread out, and every team might have an all-star caliber player. They might not make all-star because you're only getting 24 a year. So, but you might have an all-star caliber player. What Bill Russell was saying, if it was 12 teams, then that means every team would have more superstars and more all-star caliber players because there's only so many teams to go around. You know, so and then instead of it being 500 players in the NBA, it'd be half of that, right? So that means the bottom half of the players is not good enough, wouldn't even be in the league. So it's pretty much Pepsi with no ice. It's just all fizzle and caffeine. But you know, the more teams you add, you know, the more ice you put in your cup, you know, to water it down a little bit. So that's how he explained it. So is that a bad thing that it was only 10 to 12 teams? I don't know. I mean, I think we can take Bill Russell's word for it, how he explained it. That mean teams had better players throughout, but it also means that your path to the finals was I ain't gonna say easier, but it was not as much games. I think the elimination, I think it was best out of 5 then back then. And then you didn't have first round, second round, conference finals. I think it was like first round, conference finals, then finals, you know, so it's an extra round that got included. So I don't know, man. So I don't know what that means that they only had 10 or 12 teams. I don't know if that's good or bad. I really don't. So